so fast.
You're fine. Thank you for joining me. We haven't ever met, so I'm Shauna Stevens. I'm the general manager of Agent Elite.
Okay,
So I wanted to thank you for taking the time to meet with me and go through
sure.
our beta testing of our new platform and new design. Um, any questions you have for me before we get going? I kind of like to just kind of get to know each other a little bit before I start going.
I don't have a lot of questions. When I came on board with Agent Elite from the very beginning, I came from, I have a very skeptic mindset when it comes to these technology companies because um, because I get so enthusiastic about what's available.
Yeah.
And I think oh, this is all encapsulated. It's going to be great. And then the reality is, it's kind of like the idea of having a ghostwriter. They're going to write it for you, but you have to do all the work and provide them all the data so they can,
Hmm.
you know, and I just don't have time for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and so I had done that with a company before I went to Agent Elite, and I thought it was they talked about all this blah blah blah, and I was spending a fortune on it and got locked into a contract. And the reality was nothing got done on that website unless I
Oh no.
originated it and
Yeah.
had to, it said, oh yeah, you can do that. Just go here, here, here. And I'm like, I am not an IT person.
Yes.
I can promise you that. So when I came to Agent Elite, I was skeptic. I came in on the very lowest introductory platform, and I've slowly over the years added modules to it because I've been super pleased. I think the website looks great. I love the new beta one that they showed me. I think
Oh my God. They showed me that and the picture you chose, I just like melted and I was like, that is so awesome.
thank you.
So I love it.
Yeah, I love what it's going to look like and what it can do. And um, so yeah, so I'm very pleased with the product. I recommend it all the time to agents because, we have to have a website.
Yeah.
Um, and I have a different mindset than most agents. I am not, the website is a supportive tool that you
Hmm.
utilize to share with your clients.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what I want the website to be. So,
Yeah. No, I like that perspective. It's not the end all be all, and it's not going to be that field of dreams and sell homes for you. Right.
nope.
And I think that's what a lot of people expect sometimes.
Uh, They do. It's the concept. If I have it, it will work for me. And to a certain extent, but you still have to. I share my website and my text messages. It's part of
Good.
my, on your phones, you can create, especially with iPhones, you can create like preset
The
text
preset.
messages.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of those, and I always send it out. And if someone asks me about a property, I'll find it on my website and then I text it from there. So they go
Perfect.
to the website. So, I try to do that. I'm when I'm super busy, I'm
It's
barely
harder.
getting bare minimums out.
Yeah.
But the reality is it's a great website. We had to go through some tweaking here when I got on with Follow Up Boss to meet their
Yeah.
criterias. And you guys were just super to work with. It was super simple. You batted it out of the home run. It was awesome. So that's why we're here today because I'm a firm believer that you guys have a great product, and I was anxious to hear about this next level.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. And we've got more things in the works that we're trying to create for you guys to make it a little bit more seamless, easier, intuitive. We're trying to add more of the AI into it so that one, you guys don't have to learn how to be like a AI expert. It can kind of guide you. So as
Hmm.
soon as we get those things released, we'll have testing out there. But I'm excited for your new site because, like I said, that picture just like blew me away. I'm only because I come from a desert off-roading background. So like
Oh,
we've got
nice.
yeah. So here in California, we have Akatia Wells, and so we've got off-roading. I've got a side-by-side Razor Polaris. My
Okay.
kid has a KTM little 50.
Hmm.
So we've done all that. She is through and through we call her a little desert mouse right now. So
Nice.
I love it. Um, so what I want to do is ask you kind of take away from the Agent Elite product and like really get down to the roots of what it's taken to be successful in your career, and how you kind of persevered through even COVID, or just like a lot of the challenges that we go through in the economy or the industry. Um, and kind of
Ooh.
go down to that direction.
Well, I think because I never expected to be a real estate agent, it's probably the biggest part. Um, we moved here from California in 2009,
Okay.
and I used to off-road race. My partner was out of
Oh,
Glendora, California, so we did score and
okay.
um and and Best of the Desert,
Yeah.
and Nora, all of those.
Yeah.
Um so when I met my husband, he was involved in pavement racing and worked for a team that was called Hoosier Tire. Uh, well, it was Western Speed Racing, but the owners own Hoosier Tire West. And
Okay.
so I had gotten involved with pavement racing a little bit and owned a sprint car and a super modified. And
Oh,
um,
wow.
and so that's how I ended up in Indiana, which is
Okay.
racing. That's how we ended up there. My husband got hired by Tony Stewart to come and work on his team here.
Oh, wow.
Um, so I could be anything I wanted to be, and I'd spent 20 years as a COO of a farming operation, basically.
Okay.
So I come from finance, budgeting, HR oversight, employee contracts, lease contracts, all that kind of stuff, but mostly also cost accounting. I'm
Mhm.
really good with QuickBooks. So that is where I came from. And when we got here, I thought, what do I want to do? So I started teaching because that's super easy. I'd always coached my kids and
Yeah.
substitute taught. So I stepped into here and I soon realized that you're not going to make any money in teaching. So I was already working at Kroger because I think every little girl has a dream of being a cashier. And so when we moved here, this is a true story, moved here Sunday morning, I went to the Kroger to buy some beverages for the crew that was coming over from the race shop to help unload the last two trucks that we had brought from California. I bought a couple cases of beer, some ice, some snacks and stuff. And when I got to the counter, the box boy and the cashier kind of were mocking the fact that I was trying to buy alcohol on a Sunday because in Indiana at the time, you
Oh,
couldn't buy
yeah.
alcohol on Sundays. And I didn't know that. So all my trips to Indiana were always either here for racing events or the PRI show. And we stayed in hotels, and hotels sold alcohol on the weekends. I didn't know it was a thing. Consequently, long story short, I could, that day, I told my daughters who walked out of that show, I'm going to get a job in this store and I'm going to fire those two. And fast forward 6 months, and that's what I did. Um, so because I thought it was so inappropriate how they were talking and what they were doing, and so yeah, and I told my kids, I said, you don't treat people like that. That's just wrong. So that's why I went to work at Kroger, got a
Yeah.
cashier job, and within 6 months I was in management. So um, and loved it, thought I would always stay at Kroger, right? Knew I wasn't going to teach full time here because it wasn't enough pay. Loved working at Kroger, was on a team with our own store in Danville, and I was filling out, updating my social media photos
Yeah.
with new management photos. And I went on LinkedIn so that all of them would be the same, right? I hadn't been on LinkedIn since 2009, and this is 2012. And there was a job on there for a brokerage that was in Carmel, Indiana. And I read it and I thought, huh. So I sent a message and said, hey, this really looks attractive. I have all the skill sets, but I've never sold real estate. I have no clue, but I can do XYZ. And if you're interested, here's my resume. If you don't have anybody, just maybe we could work something out. And 75 employees later, they offered me the job, or 75 applicants later, they offered me the job. And then I had to decide what to do because I never thought I would leave Kroger. I thought I'd be there
Yeah.
for 20 years. And, but it was, I mean, I had like amazing package, between salary and days off and holidays. And
Yeah.
so I took the job, never thinking I would be selling real estate, and got my license. And then here I am, and I've averaged about fifty homes plus a year in sales. Um, so I've approached this building this business in the same way I did the farming, uh,
Yeah.
the entities that I worked with in California, is that you always want to sell. If you have a business, you want to be able to make it marketable or sellable. And
Yeah.
so I did not want to build my brand on my face or on me. I wanted it to be built on services, on, kind of a theme, a kind of an idea, a perception of what, that's how I started start to finish is
Yeah.
done and all that we've done. And having actually been a racer and driving off-road vehicles and riding Harleys and motorcycles, I thought, man, when they said we could update this website, I'm like, oh, we can put some of this all together. That'd be great. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's how I ended here. And I love the career. It's been such a great fit. I get to do everything that I love. Um, because I like paperwork, which is not what most people say. Uh,
Yeah.
I actually that and spreadsheets. I think that has helped me create a sustainable business and
You
treat
built the
all my.
processes.
Yep, I've created the processes in every step, and flyers and stuff that goes with each one of those steps of information guidelines.
Yeah.
And because of that, and I mean, in the farming industry, I was writing checks that were, hundreds of thousands of dollars a week, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'm not impressed by the number of zeros. It's
Yeah.
just a
They're
decimal
just
point
numbers.
changed. It doesn't do anything for me. So whether a person's spending $100,000 on a home or $1 million on a home, for me, I treat them the same
Yeah.
because for them, that's the biggest asset they're buying, right? And
Absolutely.
so that's kind of how I have nurtured this business, and the concept and the branding, and I'm very super casual. I'm not in stilettos. You're not going to find me. I'm all about comfortable shoes. I don't wear makeup. I'm really much just what you see is what you get. I have 4 grown adult children, and I'm about to have my 7th grandchild. So I'm just straightforward. And I think that approach has made people, they either like me or they don't. And it's okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
There are some clients that I don't like, and I don't work with them. So I'm very mutually respected of that. But thankfully, more like me than not, which is always nice. But yeah, so I'm putting some energy in the next 10 years. I want to build the business, with a collaborative approach of having other agents working together, and I'll coach them and mentor them so that we have a product that then can become a brokerage.
Yeah.
That's what we're building it for and what we're doing. And so that's kind of the idea. And um, so that brings us to right now.
Absolutely. No, I love that. Because I think that too many people try to be what they think others want
Mhm.
or they think that society's saying to be. And then you get conflicted because you're almost lying to yourself. And it's like, who are you trying to be? Like, focus on the person in front of you, be honest, be open. I love the fact that you said it doesn't matter the zero. So I don't
Mhm.
treat anybody differently. And that's the same thing. Like when I was growing up, it was like you treat the janitor the same as the CEO. It doesn't matter who they are or what they
Exactly.
are. Like everybody bleeds the same blood, give respect, accept respect. So that's really awesome that you built it into the motto and like the goals of what you want for your company and a
Mhm.
brokerage. Now, do you have a team right now
I
so
have two
far? Yeah.
agents. I
Two
have two
agents. Okay.
agents, and I'm wanting to bring more on, but there's just a lot of work when you've got new agents.
Yeah.
And I have been so busy. This year has just been a really tough year. We've lost three family members. So
Oh,
we were out in California the end of May through June 10th, and it was two funerals and a wedding. So it's just been
it's been a lot.
it's been a lot this year. And I broke my arm in March. So that was I needed healing time. So
Yep.
I I just I'm I'm grateful for what we are this year, where it's at, considering all the things that we've had to get through.
Yeah.
Um, and just I'm always at this time of the year, I'm amping up for the next year.
Next year. No,
So
that's smart.
yeah,
I
so I've got my numbers for this year. What's on the books? If I close everything on the books, if I can get my listings sold, I wish there was a way to really promote listings because that is my if I have a nemesis, it's listings.
listings. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's a industry thing right now too, is like people are like the unknown. Like, are rates going to drop? Are they not going to drop? What's going on with the economy? What's not? Um, I think that a lot of the the media plays into it. And
Oh,
what there's a lot of media now around like, oh, again, real estate agents make too much money. And it's like, no, you don't see everything that they go through to put into it.
I
You're,
think I think that's such a key point, what you said, because when you start to put in perception, I have created a template of what just a basic transaction, the number of hours, the number of times I visit a property, the amount of mileage that you do. I have like a basic template. Um,
wow.
and I think what people don't realize is you usually, by the time you're done from the start to the finish, you have about 10 touches on that physical property.
Yeah.
And you've got all of the other properties that they might have seen prior to you seeing that one property. So when you put all of that in and when a client realizes for me to schedule, if I use just straight time, and I'm not talking about attorney time, right? If I use
Yep.
straight time, when I'm prepping for a showing, even if it's one property, it's 2.5 hours. By the time I book it, print everything, get everything ready to go, physically drive to the showing, the time at the showing, and then the drive home, right? To get back to the office.
Yeah.
You're talking about a minimum of 2.5 to 3 hours. And when you magnify that over, say you do that 20 times,
Hmm.
now take what I'm earning, which is a percentage of the gross sales, because to me it's really an unfair thing because if you're not buying an expensive home, then you're getting a cheaper rate, if
Yeah.
you think about it.
Same
But
amount of work, but it's
correct.
less on that. Yeah.
It is, but I think to me, the way I equivocate it is you have to meet people where they are
Yep.
and the affordability of it. And if we price ourselves so far out of there, then they can't afford it and they don't
Yeah.
get good service. So I have a three-tier system in my process. I want so many first-time home buyers.
Hmm.
Then I want so many in the next tier, right? Because those are your second, usually buying the second home, um, or they have skipped that first tier. They're buying a home they want to be in for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And then they're going to want to sell and go to their final one. And then once they get from the final one, they get to where I'm at. And now you're going to look for the downsizing.
Yep.
So ideally, if you meet somebody and they're at their first step, you're going to work with them and they're going to bring you at least 3 to 5 referrals over that time. So that keeps that going. And if you can create that sustainable model, you then you can, it'll pay for itself. Then you give yourself a raise and over time over years. So you have to
Yeah.
build that. And that's kind of what I'm at 64% of my sales last year came from my sphere, which is
Yeah.
nice, all referral based or clients that were selling. Divorce was heavy last year, unfortunately. So you have
Yeah.
that. I mean, when you have one divorce, that's two, three sales in
Hmm.
one moment. So,
Yep.
or two purchases and one sale. So, I did three of those last year. And so
Oh, wow.
just, yeah, I felt bad because they were all clients that I had helped them buy the house that they had to sell. So, but it's quite a compliment when you know you're in somebody's marital decree that you're the designated, they both agree. So,
Yeah.
uh, good and bad, you know. But anyway, I think the whole key to the business is really creating it so people feel welcomed. I I am different mindset than most because I think people, if you want to just look at houses, you can go to Zillow.
Yeah.
You don't need to look at any realtors' things. If you want to know personality, that's where you should find it on their personal website, right? You
Hmm.
should see what they're about. You should see kind of the motivation of what they're going to show you. That's where I think your marketing, where your website comes into those types of things. That's so
Yeah.
important. Um, I have shirts that my team wears. They're all wear these. Whoops. See if I can get this. All my logo,
Oh, I love that.
and then on the back.
Oh, I
So
love it.
we're fully branded, and I try to just say, it's okay. What do I wear? I wear
Yeah.
Tom's flats. That's what I wear during the winter. I wear Sorel boots because we've got ice and snow. So,
Yeah.
but I try to bring the approach to the level like a dirt racetrack or out in the
Yeah.
desert.
Yeah.
You have equally your Jimmy Johnson family. You've
Yep.
got equally people that are out there, um, the Joneses and all of them, that are out there, and they're not dirt poor, but you can't tell the dirt poor from the filthy rich. They all look the
Hmm.
same, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is what I want. That's what I
Exactly.
say. I want that kind of whole presentation.
Yeah. You've humanized it too, to where it's like, again, like you're a human, and at the end of the day, we're catering to people, and it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. There's not a status there. Like, I'm just trying to help you with your goals, your dreams, what you want.
Mhm.
And I absolutely love that, because I think that is a lost art.
It is.
Um, here. So when was the time, that you said you went from Kroger, then you applied just randomly on the LinkedIn post, you got the job. When you started getting into it, it was the unknown, right? A little bit. Um, what was that moment where you're like, okay, I do want to be in real estate? Do you remember that moment for yourself?
Well, it happened because so I was with the brokerage I'm with now is who I got that job with. I was their office
Okay.
manager. They rebranded. They actually did a merger, and I helped them get all the merger done. And then they rebranded to United Real Estate Indianapolis. It's a national brand. So in the course of that, we merged the two offices, and we had to change over everything. And I knew that the brokerage was maxed out.
Yeah.
They could not pay me anymore because I physically couldn't do anymore. I was already working about 60 hours a week, and I handled everything: transaction coordinator, onboarding, training, recruiting, all the listing stuff that was going on the media, and I was doing all of the accounting.
Oh,
So
wow.
so for me, I was at the point where I knew they needed to have more people, more staff. And I had reached the point in August of 2015, and I had gotten my license. And I only got my license so I could be better at my job because
Hmm.
there's certain forms that an unlicensed person cannot give to
Yeah.
a person to sign. You have to have a real estate license. And I was that person that I knew our agents were busy. And if there's a missing initial on the lead-based paint form, which often was the listing agent's initial on page one, I couldn't get that. I'd have to send
Yeah.
it to the agent. They'd have to go back. So I got my license so I could sidetrack that, and I could send it to whoever I needed it to sign and say, please get this signed and get it back. And that way I could close files and move forward. Um,
Yeah.
and so I, there was a large team in our office that approached me, that wanted to do a boutique brokerage. And they knew everything that I had done for this brokerage. Um, and I knew we were maxed out. So I proposed to the Shear Bros and I said, I think it's time for me to change. And they were devastated at first. And I said, I will stay on as a 1099 and I'll do all the accounting and I'll do the transaction oversight and training, but you need to have a receptionist that works in the office every day. And I can do way more on the backside. Well, they decided that they weren't sure that would work. And so they asked me for a list of my what I was doing, and I gave them a binder. And then they didn't speak to me for about probably 5 or 6 days. And then they said, "We are so sorry. We had no idea you were doing all of this."
Oh,
They had
wow.
no idea everything that I did. We hired 3 people to take my place. I trained all of them, and then I went and helped the other team with their brokerage, and they had a 5,000 foot staging warehouse that I helped get that all organized and got that all done. When I was with them, the owner of that team said, "Hey, Dody, can you do an open house on Sunday?" I said, "Sure, why not? Why not?" So this was at the beginning of 2016. And I started doing an open house here and there. And then she sent me a lead that she couldn't get, that wasn't answering her. She said, "Do you think you want to take this lead?" I'm sure, why not? So I sold 25 homes on the side of everything else I was doing. Um, and I thought, well, that was an easy 70,000. Maybe I want to do this full time. And so in 2017, I went full time and was a broker, and I sold that first year, I think 52 homes. And realized then, I realized pretty quickly that I do like this. And even though I
Yeah.
always said I'm not a salesperson, man, I like this. And so, but what I like about it is you work so hard. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
hardest job I've ever had, and I get to use all my different skill sets, and that's very seldom do you get to hit on. It's kind of like an engine where you get all cylinders hitting, right?
Yeah.
That's the way it makes me feel, and you know, so you don't sleep a lot,
Yeah.
um, and you eat erratically, but you meet the most amazing people,
Yes.
and my job, and I say this all the time, my job is to help people select the place where they're going to put their head at night, where they feel secure, they dream their dreams, where their family gets to entertain and celebrate the wonderful things. The lender, they get the undergarment side, the more intimate details. I don't have to see that part.
Yeah.
They get that part. Um, so I kind of have enjoyed it. I think it's a really great opportunity, and I love seeing when somebody walks in a home and they know that's their home. That's like
Yeah.
the most, you see it, you feel
You
it,
do.
you know it. And that to me, I don't know why I'm being emotional. That to me
You're
is
okay.
such a great, it's a great feeling. And
Yeah.
it is satisfactory when it's a home, especially a home that they didn't pick out, that you were able to find and present to them because you've been listening to them, you've been watching their responses to other homes, and you're able to find that home. And to me, that's been the gift that I
Yeah.
have been able to do is really been able to match my clients up with their perfect home and fill that with them. And that is the best. That is the best.
No, I love that. I never really, I don't think I ever really thought of that perspective that you just had. It's like the feeling that you found that home that they didn't, just based on you listening and that, um, but you're
Yeah.
right. You see it in people's eyes, you see it in their mannerisms. It's almost like when you're watching your child like do something for the first time and then that
Mhm.
look they get on their own of like, did I just do that?
Yeah.
Really? It's like
Yeah.
that same experience, that same
Mhm.
feeling.
It is.
Um,
It's so empowering for them
yeah,
when they finally find it, and you see it especially with couples because, right,
yes.
couples usually start off and they're out here. One likes
Hmm.
this, one likes this. This is important. This is when you find the right one, It's
Yes.
amazing. They're like this. They look at each other and they'll just be, this is it. This is,
Yeah.
they both say,
I
and
know exactly what you're talking about. I remember doing that with my wife and everything.
mhm.
And our daughter was one at the time and unfortunately going through health issues.
Oh,
And we went through so many different houses.
yeah.
And then, but we kept coming back to this one house. And we're like, okay, we just have to see it again. I don't know what it is about it. And
Hmm.
it was just like we came together. You're right. We did that
Yes, ma'am.
exact thing.
It is very much, I tell my clients all the time, homes select the buyers. I said
Hmm.
it might sound weird, but a home is going to show you
Yeah.
what, when it's meant for you, it will show you that. And I think it's just like as a parent, I've always prayed that I stay out of my kids' way. I think for my clients, I always say I'm going to open the doors for them, and I'm going to be the investigator that's going to find the facts that we need on the home, and I'm going to make sure that there aren't any major defects that I can see, right? And
Yeah.
I'm going to point them out, and I'm going to listening to them. You can discern if a person do they really want a large backyard? Because some people say they want a large backyard, but they hate being outside. And you can tell that on showings, right?
Yeah.
Because how much time do they spend looking at the outside of a house versus the inside? But they're insistent they want a large
The
backyard,
large back.
except they never go in the backyard. They don't even look at the backside of the house. And I'm thinking, okay, this is a person, they don't even look at the fence. This is a person that does not need a large backyard because it will become a burden. And
Yeah.
I would never say that to my client, but what I will always do is find a compromise that I think is a great house, perfect for them, and the backyard is much more manageable. And I think sometimes as an agent, those are things we can do to help buyers understand what they are looking for because they
Yeah.
get caught up in a lot of people want to make sure they're getting the most bang for their buck, right? So we want a
Hmm.
bigger house, we want this. But when you really listen to their lifestyle or you listen to what they really like, oftentimes the new open floor plans, I have a client that she did not like them. And I finally was able to find a home and I said, this one is different. I said, it's going to feel like it's open, but I said, it's segmented. So before we even went in, I've called that out
Prepping her and
so that when they go in, she could look at it from that perception and she fell in love with the house and bought the house. So
oh, that's amazing.
it really is the key is truly being able to get to know the client well enough to know what they like and don't like.
Yeah.
And really you can talk to people. I mean, I say this all the time, especially racers, they might think that they're Joe Jock in the backyard, but they're never there. They don't
Yeah.
intend on being home unless they bought acreage and now they've got to have a practice track or whatever. That's a
Yep.
little different. But most of them, they want large enough space to store their toys and to have them, but they don't want a lot of maintenance because they won't
Yep.
because
Won't be there.
and they're not going to pour it into their backyard because they're usually putting it into their racing equipment.
Yep.
So,
Exactly. What for you is something about like what's something about being a real estate agent that most people don't see like on social media or like right away, like that
mhm.
often gets overlooked?
I think it's how we get paid.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that, um, now the way the outcome has been since 2024, uh, the changes that happened with NAR, right? The National Association
Hmm.
of Realtors changes where there's a contract between each client and their agent. You're either a buyer's agent or you're a seller's agent, right? And how that contract works. Um, I think that especially people that go to Zillow and they click, oh, I want to see this property. They have no idea that the person that is setting up that showing is an independent agent that you have to sign a contract because
Yeah.
that's federal. And that's in Indiana, it's our state law. But they have no idea that I don't get paid to do that.
No.
It's my goodwill. It's my effort towards forming a relationship with you in order to bring you to the point where we might be able to have you purchase a home. And so there's
Yeah.
a lot of good faith that we put into it. And I think that's something with our industry that I don't think people truly understand. If you've got somebody that's saying, yes, I will show you that house, and they're going to show up, and yet you're not paying them to show up, essentially, right? Not up front. I mean, especially
Yeah.
we write our contracts for 48 hours. So that's to protect both sides. If you don't like me and I don't like you, we're not stuck together. But at the same time, it meets the law, right?
Yeah.
What's hard for me is so often you'll get a client that you'll show 20, 25 homes, you'll write 5 or 6 offers, um, 2 or 3 mutual releases, and literally then they'll disappear on you.
Yeah.
And they have no idea that you've not only earned your commission once, but probably 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And that nobody pays me for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. So I think that's the number one thing that is misconceived about how we are being paid is we really aren't paid until there's a closing.
Yeah.
Um, and we put a lot of effort and time and energy into doing what we do because most of us do it because we love it.
Yeah.
Nobody, we don't clock in anywhere. We don't have somebody telling us what to do. It's very self-motivated. And I think that's the misconception out there. And so when I hear like, oh, that you get paid too much, I'm like, really?
Really? I think I saw, I don't remember who it was, but somebody broke it down. Okay, if you want to pay me minimum wage, this is how all the hours break down, and you'll actually end up paying me more
Correct.
in certain aspects. And I think that that doesn't get talked about enough, and it just
Mhm.
creates that misconception. And so it's a struggle that you guys always have to fight against. How have you had to adapt with that? I mean, that's only been a year, a little bit over a
Mhm.
year. How have you had to adapt over the last year with those changes, but also market shifts, interest rates, buyer behavior?
Well, let me address a simple one. Market shifts. It's secular, you
Yeah.
know, the ebb and flow of all businesses. I've been in enough
Yeah.
businesses to understand that. So you just work what you have, and if you always have the same mindset and a sustainable approach to what you're doing, your business will survive.
Yep.
Sometimes it doesn't thrive as much, but at least it can survive, and that's really what every business is out to do, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think interest rates, when I first bought my very first condo when I was in my early 20s, it was 12.25% interest rate.
Yep.
So is it 7% now? Is that too far? No. Do I have a 2.5% on my current home? Yeah, because that was what was available then, and I was in a position I could
Yep.
refinance and take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Um, the fact of the matter is, those things don't matter. The only thing that matters is when you purchase a home that you pay attention to your debt to income ratio. You do not want to have 38% is the most you should be spending out of your take home pay towards your
Hmm.
housing. If you're
Yep.
paying over that, if you're in the 43, 45, up towards 50% of your income, you are setting yourself up for failure.
Yep.
So I really work with my clients to understand that because the water heater, even if it's brand new, in a year could go out. And guess what?
Yep.
You're going to have to buy a new one. Um, when you have a storm could come through, you're going to have insurance on your home. You pay for that.
Yep.
So it's kind of the concept is buying a home, it doesn't matter the time, it doesn't matter the interest rates. It just matters when you are capable and willing and want it. Because all the other things you can adjust, you can always refinance.
Yeah.
You can refinance and get those better interest rates. You can take advantage of that. When you grow your equity, like through the pandemic, and people's equity was, you know, what was it, 4% to 8% was like the variables in the Midwest.
Hmm.
We're not on the East Coast. Now, on the East and West Coast, they saw 50 and 60% raises. That's not, the Midwest
Yeah.
has always been more statically conservative. So for that, just look at what your assessed value is going up.
Yeah.
That's you earn that. You compare that to what if I had the same amount of money in the bank and you're only getting that interest rate, right? At that time it was like 1%
1%.
versus your home was getting 4 to 8% and sometimes 13 to 15%. That's a better
It's a
return on
no-brainer. Yeah.
investment. Exactly. So I kind of take that point of view with my clients because I understand finance.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and it's so much smarter to build your own equity than it is to pay for someone else's.
Someone else's.
So if you want to
Yeah.
rent, that's fine, but renting means you are paying somebody else's equity and helping them build their own generational wealth.
Yeah.
Or you do your own. And if you have to start off small, first time home buyer, you start off small. If you can't buy a $200,000 house, but you can buy a $150,000 home, I know these prices are absurd compared to where you guys are from, but in the Midwest,
I'm
that
sitting here going, ooh, show me.
yeah. So if you could do that, then the beauty of it is the next time around, you're going to be at the 280 to 350 mark.
Hmm.
And then you can move up. And it won't take that long to get there, right? Because you can build
Yeah.
the equity up in the home that you bought, and you can then turn around and sell that and be able to do it. And the beauty of making a lifelong relationship with a real estate agent is a return client gets a discount on commissions.
Yeah.
So you work with me, I work with you, and it's going to benefit both of us.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's kind of the way I transition that. So, people have to live in houses one way or the
Yeah.
other. Corporations need write-offs. One way or the other, they're going to invest, so
Yep. Absolutely. I love that. Now
yeah.
I know we're coming on time. Do you have time for a couple more questions?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So I want to talk more about kind of like your visibility. Like if you were to talk about visibility, what does visibility mean to you and when it comes to your business?
Well, I like to be invisible, to be honest, but I prefer the working mouse in the background kind of thing,
Yeah.
so that when you make the win, nobody expects it, and you are like, they see you. Visibility. I know what it says, that visibility, you need to be out there. CEO, you need to be Google professional, you need all of that kind of stuff to be out there. And every time something's Googled, they should be able to do it, or Grok or whatever. But there's a risk factor there that I'm not
Hmm.
fond of. So I like to have a conservative approach to my visibility. I want to be my Facebook page. I currently have somebody that makes my posts for me, kind of stays up on that for me because I do my personal stuff, which
Yeah.
everything flows, right? I have it set up so it tumbles. Whatever hits my page is going to hit my Instagram, which is going to hit
Hmm.
my X account, which, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I've kind of got those set up. But I have to be conservative to a certain extent because I am not necessarily all conservative. I'm not all the left and I'm not all the right. I'm probably right smack in the middle. Nice. I understand. I have a very strong faith and belief, but I also, my best friend has been one of the top tiered people with Planned Parenthood
Hmm.
since she got out of college, right? Um, and so for me, I have a very realistic. I spent 5 years as a crisis intervention counselor in California, out of Fresno, California, which is where I'm from. So I have seen the dark side of what happens
Yeah.
when people are out of control. I know what that is like. So I know that's there. I just choose to live in Disneyland. And so I like to just hover in that middle because
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous for people not to be friends with people of difference. I have extreme liberal friends.
Yeah.
I've got extreme right friends. I don't think either one are right or wrong. I like the middle road, common sense.
Yeah.
We're all equal. We're all friends. We can all be possible friends. I don't judge them. They don't judge me. Hopefully that's the idea. Um, because this world would be a very boring world if we didn't have all the differences. It's
Yeah.
it's the color of the world that makes us so spectacular. And
Yeah.
so to me, that's if I am seen or if I'm visual, I want to be known for being that person that's just going to meet them eye to eye and be present. And that's
Yeah.
kind of where that stands.
Awesome.
Does that
No, I
work?
like it. No, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now we talked a little bit when you first started this conversation with us about, why you came and how you had some skepticism. I
Mhm.
mean, we heard a lot. It's hard because you guys are, as agents, are contacted daily, probably
Yes.
to buy anything and everything. And so it's natural to have, that hesitancy. What are you using now, like with Agent Elite, that has helped you with your marketing or to be, get you to the direction you want to go for your business?
Well, I think having a website even, I mean, the new one's dynamic, right? But even my existing one is pretty darn good. So
Mhm.
I love that. I love the blog. You guys write my blog. I don't really do anything with it. I like the layout, the functionality of it, and all of that has been a positive. Um, I like that it gives me the appearance of being bigger than I am. It gives me
Mhm.
a larger footprint than I would be if I was
Yeah.
just on my own. And that to me is the purpose of marketing.
Yeah.
Um, because I spent 3 years as the executive director for a community um, chamber of commerce.
Okay.
And so I worked with a lot of businesses. You help them with promotion, you help them do what they're doing. I helped a new company that was putting together an online marketplace and help them put their storefront together and get it on the online and do that. And so I've worked enough in businesses and I've owned enough businesses. I've owned a restaurant. I've owned a shoe store. I've been involved in, and large portion was being involved in the
Yeah.
farming aspect, but um, the key to all of it, the key to being successful in what you do has nothing to do with money. It has to do with people.
Yeah.
It's all about the people and what you do and how you leave that footprint behind and how they feel in the interactions, how they walk away. And I think that is still the most number one gift that we have here in the United States is we have
Yeah.
the opportunity to be who we are as we are, and we can leave a footprint. And I think that's where pairing up with Agent Elite for me has helped me fulfill that footprint I did
Yeah.
just a little bit better.
Okay. No, I love that because I think a lot of times everybody focuses on the leads and the transaction of their marketing.
Hmm.
And it's the instant gratification. Am I going to get this right this second? And I mean, that's such a challenge in general. And I think the hard part for us too sometimes is like being able to explain, like, you will, but you've got to put in the work. You got to build the foundation. You don't want to build on a rocky foundation. Um,
Uh-huh.
when it comes to marketing for you, was there anything that you had to learn or change a viewpoint for yourself with marketing where you thought it was going to do one thing, but it didn't quite go that route? Did that ever happen
Well,
for you?
yeah, I've tried a lot of different things. I have had to come to the reality that I am not very good with IT. My son, who graduated from college with an electronic engineering degree, and so is much better with computing than I am. I'm a functional user of computers. Um, I can work in QuickBooks and do what I need to do, right? But could I write the software? No. No. When I go to the backside, even of Agent Elite, do I get a little lost? Uh-huh. Do I call the helpline a lot? Maybe. Um, but
Good.
I think the key that I have learned is to know my own limitations. And
Okay.
that I definitely through trial and error and venturing down funnels that aren't going to fit, um, I know that I wish I could do more videos, but I'm not very good at that, and I don't have and sitting in front of myself is not my favorite thing to
Yeah,
do.
I feel you.
But at the same time, I do know that that's needed. So I have thought that down the road I should do more video presentations, put together some short clips, some things. I had tried that with another, a friend that does a client that does marketing, and we did some stuff, and it got great responses. It was like the most, chatted about or
Yeah,
hit or played on all my stuff on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. But that's a comfort zone. I'm 64 years old, so for me, it's not my natural forte. Throw some disco music in, maybe I can, it'll be a little bit
there
more.
you go.
Put me in a car. Heck yeah, I'm happy about that. But yeah, I think that I never have done TikTok. That let's just
Yeah,
be real. That's not my forte. I know agents have done very well with it. I just I think that's part of the difficulty we have in our perceptions because people see such a little tiny clip and they think that's the
yeah,
reality.
that's the reality.
That's not my personality. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's what you see is what you get, and it's hard work. Owning a home is not easy. You have to
no,
be responsible. If you don't want to mow your yard and you can't afford to have a gardener, maybe you shouldn't own a home. I mean,
yeah,
these are just very real conversations that aren't glamorous, and it doesn't convey in 15 seconds of time. So anyway, so
no.
yeah, so I think that's it, is just knowing your limits, knowing what you're good at and what you're not good at. And I have messed up enough on my computer for my son to tell me, Mom, I know you know enough to make yourself dangerous, but it's better just to not venture there. So
I get it. I get it. If you could go back in time and give
okay.
yourself, you are the day one agent. Okay. What's some
Mhm.
advice you would give yourself right now?
Ooh, enjoy. Enjoy. Don't worry about where the money's coming from. You can't change that.
Enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process. Enjoy each showing, each client. You will get more out of that. Uh, Believe it or not, you'll get more out of that interaction than you can anticipate. Um, and and if you don't try to get your entire year's salary out of one sale, you will find that you will have more sales because you can let it go. And that's um, probably what I would have told myself. I would have had, not that I would have had more sleep because you don't sleep when you do real estate, but I would have definitely not have had the stress. I think I've
Yeah.
learned to, hey, it's either going to close or it's not going to close.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think with listings, there are some homes that are really hard to sell, and there might be a good reason for that. And I don't always know the answer to it. So um, I think
Yeah.
that sometimes you have to just let things go, relax, and enjoy
Yeah.
the process.
How do you define success for yourself?
Ooh, my 7 grandchildren. My goodness, that's an easy one.
That
Um,
if I was to ask my mom too, she would probably say the same thing.
yeah,
And
I, I have, yeah, by far my children, uh, very proud of who they are. Uh,
yes,
though, thank goodness I stayed out of their way enough that they pursued their own lives. And I say that wholeheartedly because I never gave them a perception of what they had to be or what they had to
yeah,
do. The goal was simply you be a contributing member of society, and
yeah.
that's be a decent human being, and they have all surpassed that greatly. So um,
Well, that's awesome. That's a huge, compliment to you as well,
thank you.
and your spouse.
I
So
feel, yeah, we're very fortunate to that, and so I think numbers don't matter. People, that's one of the things in this business that irritates me the most are all of these, oh, I did the la la, and all these. in the big brokerage offices, the competition of who's got this,
Mhm.
even if you just make one sale, you have successfully helped somebody with the largest asset purchase of their life
Yes.
to that date.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing, you
It's
know.
really amazing.
And so to me, I just think that the gratitude I have, I'm with 10,000 agents here in Indiana,
Yeah.
metro area. So to be honest, if I get chosen as their agent, I feel pretty special. So
Absolutely. I have absolutely loved talking with you.
thank you.
I think that you hit the word, the gratitude that you have and the way that you carry yourself is definitely second to none of other agents out there as well. And so I appreciate the time you've given us. I appreciate the partnership you have with Agent Elite. I
Thank you.
can't wait to see your new site go live.
I know, me
And
too.
just just to see the messages you get just from that and the interactions you get. I just can't wait till your next level and what you're building towards your brokerage and everything. So
Thank you.
super appreciative of you and, you know, of you being a client for as long as you've been, and the time you've given me here to get to know you.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Well, I hope I get to have you on our Elite Zone podcast again. I hope I get to have, you know, maybe one of your team members, or we could do
Sure.
something different. We are all ears. We started our Elite Zone live that goes out on Fridays now. So if you're ever available and want to jump in, ask us questions or anything, we are there live, for you, for anybody else out there. But I can't wait to see what this next year looks like for you and your business. I'm super excited for you.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate it
you.
very, very much.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Have a great day.
You
Bye.
too. Uh-huh.